package in the mail, MSX games from Japan. Collecting without fail those shoot 'em ups, that's the plan. He doesn't just collect them, he also codes them too. Join us and we'll go on electric adventures with you.
Hey YouTube, Electric Adventures here with a special video on the MSXDev20 competition. So it's been running, it's a homebrew competition that's been running for quite a few years. Technically this is the 20th time it's been run. This one went a little over a year with the time it took to organise and everything like that, but it's actually ended up being a very bumper competition. Last year I did manage to do some gameplay videos on some of the entries and do a bit of a review. I will do proper gameplays later on. I haven't had time this time. I've done, hopefully as I talk about particular games and titles, the ones that I've been able to play and have a quick go of, we'll see some video up there so you can see what they're like. There were an outstanding number of entries, but before I get into that, I'll just go over to what the rules were of the competition this time. So all of the games were to be targeted to MSX1 machines, allowing the grade, which is always a great thing to target. The previous competition allowed MSX2 and MSX2 Plus titles, which brought out some interesting things, but it also thinned the competitors down in the main categories, and too many categories to give prizes and things like that. So it's always a balancing act with these things. But this one ended up probably, I think this is the most number of entries there's ever been in the competition. 17 I believe we had. So the targeted machine is basically a straight MSX1 machine with either a TMS 9918 or 28 graphics chip, the AY38910 a sound chip, which is basically the MSX sound chip, 16K of RAM, so only a very low RAM requirements, and 16K of video RAM. Okay, so there were a large number of donations as well for prizes. There was over 515 euro of prizes, which is heaps. So there were physical things donated plus some cash, and it all went very well. Yeah, so 8-Bits Forever is giving away an SD512 cartridge to the winner, and there's even a special game controller and everything like that. So it's a very well so we say supported competition this year, and it went very well. The people who are running it are actually not going to run it next time because they've discovered that running this sort of thing takes up a lot of your time, but other people have stepped up, and there were some incredibly good titles for this. So what I'm going to do, I should have got to the end of this, I'm going to go right to the end of the report because the report's in reverse order, just so I can remember the titles. Okay, so at the end of the list was a title called Landing. I couldn't actually get this one to run on my computer, so I'm sure that would have had, you know, taken marks off. It possibly runs in an emulator. I was trying on real hardware. It's quite colourful and everything like that. I didn't play it, so I can't say a lot about it. It scored, I believe, 8.5 out of a possible score of 20. And next title, I think that was number 17, so a next title, which scored 10.5, so the report's actually quite extensive, is called Raftoid. And this looks a lot like Arkanoid, and it looks very good. When I tried to play it, I couldn't see the paddle, so I suppose, you know, it's still very buggy. I'm not sure whether they were able to play it and whether this one's been marked down because of that. Other than that, it looked very good. I said you will see a short bit of video there, but you can see that I started playing, and if my bat was in the right position I would deflect the ball, but otherwise, yeah, because I couldn't see the main paddle. Yeah, I mean, it is basically a clone of Arkanoid, and there is an Archive game for the MSX already, so I suppose it lost points because of that. But other than that, kudos to the programmer, it actually looked very nice. So next, scoring 11. And they really did. Is a game called Pacific. Now this one actually showed lots of potential, very nice use of sprites with multiple colours and shadows and things like that. Obviously inspired by 1942 type games. No music, very simple sound effects. So it's sort of like it's a game that's still being constructed. But some interesting tile scrolling, so it makes the scrolling fine, so you get a fine movement there. The only thing is the enemy patterns are just very random, and it makes the game almost impossible to play or get anywhere with, because yeah, the very simple pattern, just things coming from the side and straight down in formations, so that they don't actually move, and I suppose there doesn't seem to be much progression. So it's sort of like a game I reckon that will be a good game once the person has time to spend more time on it, and they obviously know what they're doing graphics wise and spend a bit more effort on it, and that one could actually be quite an interesting game. So that's Pacific. So next, with a score of 11.5 is a game called Litterbox. Now once again, I have no idea what this one's like. I've only got the screenshot to go on here because it wouldn't boot. But once again, I did not try these on an emulation, I only tried them on real hardware, and it was an MSX2 that might have run on MSX1. It's called Litterbox, and it looks like a bit of a play on a Pac-Man clone. From the reviews, it has reasonable animations and things. So next, with a final score of 12, was a game called Bloody Mary. Unfortunately, another game that I couldn't get to play. You'll see one screenshot here. I have no idea what the gameplay is like, but maybe when I get a bit more time to play I will. So next is 12.5, and that was for Find It, where you have to find patterns and things like that. This is another one that either I didn't have the ROM for or it didn't work. I don't remember seeing that one. With a score of 12.5 is Kuna. So it's a snake maze type game where you've got to go around and get all the targets, and the length of your snake grows. It runs quite quickly. It actually looks really good, and I thought was reasonably polished except for the controls. I found it very hard to actually time when you went around the corner, and it was very inconsistent. You couldn't hold down the controller before a corner to say that you were going to go around. You had to hit it precisely when the corner was lined up with you, so it was a bit hard. And as I said, to be fair, I have only had a really quick game of these myself, but that one also shows promise, so I would potentially buy that one when it comes out as a full release. Next one got a score of 13, and that was SPC Super Hoops. A very simple game, but actually quite good fun. You will see some video from this one. You have a power bar down the bottom, you have a basket and hoop and a bouncing ball, and you have to pretty much, I suppose, you need to play this to guess the amount of power that's required for certain targets. So you need to play it a few times to guess, but that's actually, the physics are quite well done. It is very simple though. Obviously it's something that's probably a mini game that could be grouped together with some other games, but an interesting entry nonetheless. So next, with a score of 13.5 is Sub Commander. So in this one you're a sub down the bottom. You can you've got to shoot the ships that are up the top. Certain ships are marked with a little red square, and that gives you 2 times points. And and there are other targets marked with a circle with a cross on it. So if you hit those, you lose lots of points. it's like a timed round game. You don't seem... I'm not 100% sure whether it was fully finished off, maybe. I'm sure I got hit a couple of times. I'm not sure whether that reduced my score or there's lives. So once again, only had a really quick game of these. But other than that, the graphics were quite well done, quite interesting. The gameplay probably just needs a little bit of development into, you know, the progression and everything like that. But other than that, that's actually quite a good entry. Number 14. And I said the judges went into go into quite a lot of detail. So this one is Chambers of Thyrea, which is a puzzle game. I love puzzle games, and I will be playing this one some more. I did not get very far in it, as you'll see by the video up there. It took me a little while to actually figure out what was going on. But this is the sort of thing that's fun to try and have a go at. Probably I would suggest they don't start with quite such a hard level to start with. I'm sure once I played it some more I would be able to work these out more, and perhaps I was missing something in the controls, but I'm sure you can actually, so there's keys and bombs you can pick up. I never got any bombs, although it looks like by the looks of the display when you start you have some, so I'm a little bit confused there. Once again, I played these and I didn't read the instructions, but that one looks very interesting, another one that I would target to get a copy of because I love puzzle games. Next, with a score of 15, oops, almost went too far, is a game called Jarstar. The A's have emphasis, and it's actually a point-and-click adventure game done in the you know, in Antarctica. The main character and sub-characters are all penguins. It looks like it's got really nice graphics. Point and clicks take a little while to play. You can see me having a bit of a muck around. I would definitely be interested in playing that one properly at some stage. I think they've done a good job. It looks good. You know, seems to work well. It can get a little confusing about which things are your inventory and which things are the you know, the commands and things like that, but that's just getting used to the game. So next, with a score of 16, is Block Puzzle. I actually, once again, video up here, I actually quite enjoyed this one. This is actually quite a nice variant on a you know, a Tetris block type puzzle game. I started on normal, died quickly, so I started on absolute beginners, which obviously being nice to me, and played it for a while, and that's a game I could sit there and play for quite some time. The graphics are quite good, it's fairly obvious about what's going on and everything like that, so I didn't need to read the instructions too much. And you know, it's actually quite a colourful game. Another game that I would play some more, so I commend that one. Now we actually hop up in scores here. We get 17 for the next game. So the adjudicators really liked that one. And it's Anchors Away. Only trouble is, it said it's got intuitive in gameplay. No, it doesn't. It's very. I would have to read the instructions to work out what in the hell I'm supposed to do in this game. It wasn't very obvious. I take it it's a little bit like the. It's a mix between Battleships and the you know, the Minefield game that was on Windows, where you get the strength indicators on the side of how close you are to hitting something, but I wasn't 100% sure whether I was hitting something or not. You can see me having a bit of a play around there. I need to read the instructions, then perhaps I will enjoy it some more. But unlike its intro text, I don't think you can just hop in there and figure out what to do without having some instructions. 17.5, which is, you know, getting up there quite a good score, is it's called Witch Day, which is what seems like quite a large adventure RPG type game. It's using all tile graphics, which take a little bit of getting used to. You do notice, probably by the time I finish finishing, you would see my version of it crashes. But I said these are, you know, ROMs submitted for the competition, and usually by a deadline. Yeah, I mean, I could probably play it on a different machine and it'll probably work. but I'm sure they'll polish this up. It looks intriguing. Obviously, this type of game takes a little while to play, and apparently it's quite a big game, so they've spent a lot of effort you know, working on it as far as it is, but I didn't get to this chance of doing any combat or really any actions because it crashed, unfortunately. So next, with a score of 80, is a game called Dot Attack. Now I assume this is a two-player only game. Now the really impressive thing about this game, even if it lacks a little bit of polish, is there is another graphics mode on the MSX and Spectravideo and even the Coleco that is the low-res colourful mode, where you can have or use all 16 colours anywhere you want on the screen, but the resolution is very low. And they've actually made a game called Dot Attack, where basically you're cowboys and you have to shoot each other. There are a few other things on the screen that will also kill you as well, so it's a shoot-off match, and you can shoot the scenery to try and get the thing. You can't turn or anything like that, so you sort of have to line up. Once again, less of the controls. It seemed it is a little buggy at this stage, but I'm quite interested to see where they go with this one. Also had quite nice music as well. So. Next, 18.5. You know, some of these scores. So that one, I take it, scored. The previous one scored quite well because of the innovative way they've gone at it. Now this one is called Freedom Fighter. It is a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up. It has smooth scrolling. I've followed the developers of this blog for quite some time as they've worked through the various things. It looks quite interesting. I do believe the author needs to work on balance a little bit more. It's sort of like it's hand feeding you all the powers, but throwing everything but the kitchen sink at you, including a lot of stuff that comes from behind where you have no chance of even seeing it. So rather, maybe the power-up should be earned and the enemies should progress and be a little bit more, you know, it's alright to get up to a stage where it gets into a frenzy, but it shouldn't be a frenzy to start with. But other than that, there's some really nice graphics going on, smooth scrolling as we mentioned, and I have seen other screenshots, so I know there is more to it. My quick gameplay here doesn't do it justice. I was just using a little gamepad, which I'm always terrible at games playing with a gamepad. But I will buy a complete version of that on ROM when it comes out as well, because I love shoot 'em ups and I reckon that's going to be a great game. But yeah, a little bit more polish and I reckon that could be fantastic. I'm sorry I couldn't show you too much progression because I was rubbish at it. Next, 18.5 is already getting up there in scores. And this one is L'Abbot de Morts, which the full version is actually out and you can order it. It is one of those grandiose, huge, pixel perfect platforming, jumping adventure games. It looks like there's heaps to the game. What was submitted that I played the ROM of, maybe there is another ROM, only looked like a demo. And I did the intro sequence and then the game crashed, so I just might have been unlucky. I might show some, there's a screenshot here showing a bit more gameplay, but basically you've got to go around, collect things and find things. I love games like that, so that's going to be a must buy for me later on as well. So next we have a score of 19.5. They are taking into account how large the game is too, you know, how much development effort's gone into it. Now this next one, it's called YZX MSX Remastered. I absolutely love this game because I am a fan of Lode Runner. I do like puzzle games, so this is a platform game that's got some puzzle elements in it, and it's just those nice little touches, really good use of colour. Everything's animated and in sync, and it looks really nice. I want to play this game some more. I even still have it loaded over here. It was actually the last one I played because I played them in alphabetical order. And I don't know how many levels it is, but it looks fantastic. A must buy for me. And I'm not surprised it appeared this far up the list. So next with a score of 20. So, top score is 25, not 20. But 20 is still a pretty good score out of 25. Whoops. It's a game called Stupid Martians. It's another vertical scrolling shooter that really puts a lot of objects on the screen, lots of tiny bullets and some really well animated enemies and your main ship. I didn't get very far. It even has a bomb that does the old death skull and destroys everything on the screen. This one has a lot of potential and promise. Once again, my quick gameplay probably doesn't do it justice at all, but that was actually quite good fun, and there's a lot of really good concepts going there. One stage, massive amount of slowdown, but I suppose, you know, it's trying to animate all of these tiny pixel bullets. And I was playing it with my little gamepad instead of in this setup here with the arcade stick, where I would have done much better. So a very good looking game. Can't wait to see the finished version. So next, with a score of 22, we really are getting up there now. And this would have come so close to winning, it's not funny, but the polish and everything in this game is Relevlo's snowboarding. The Relevlo team just does such a good effort at putting together games for old systems, and this one is outstanding. It's it's got all that polish of a Konami game like Antarctic Adventure and those other ones, with the intermissions, the stages, the animation of the character is really good. I didn't want to stop playing it for a start, so it's a really good mix of a racing game and a sports game. A definite must buy for me when this comes out as a full thing. I will get that and I will enjoy it and I will play it a lot. It is unlucky not to have won, but when you see the game, so that was number 2. So the game that won, they got a score of 22.5 out of possible 25. Oops. And like I said, I have no hesitation at agreeing with the judges with their choices, and once again my gameplay does not give this justice at all. I've really got to get a proper copy of this, give it a good game on with a proper arcade stick where I can play it properly, and it's the Menace from Triton. It is a horizontal scrolling shooter with power-ups. It takes a lot of inspiration from the Gradius type games. Too much talking. And I think it thoroughly deserves spot number 1. Relevlo snowboarding could also have been given number 1 as well, so I don't have any problem with the one that's been picked. I only really have a quick game here. I'll definitely be getting a copy of that one as well when it comes out on a full ROM, and I'm very, very excited about getting that one and playing it. That one's definitely the best of the shoot 'em ups that were presented. Yeah, I mean, how good is it that you can have such a good range of games developed for a competition online? And you know, it's really good this time that there were heaps of donations, and the people that won got decent prizes. Now, I will do some more gameplays of these in the future. I may wait if I can get some visits. Some of them are out, have been finished in the meantime since the competition closed and the judging's been done, and have been released on cartridge. I'll try and get copies of those in preference to play the full game, but otherwise I might do some odd gameplays of some of the others just to give them a bit more gameplay than the minimal stuff I've been able to chuck up here in the video. But yeah, so go and check out the website of MSXDev. I believe next year the competition will move back to the MSX bulletin board site. We'll wait and see what happens. And it's a great competition. I've never actually gone to the competition myself. Maybe I should one day, but I've just I need to finish off some of my old games so I can start coming up with more original ones. And I just love the effort that's gone into the creation of these games. Not only the graphics, the gameplay, but there's some really good music in some of them as well. There's some really good composers and things like that. Now, all the ROMs for the competition entries are freely downloadable, and you should be able to play them in an MSX emulator like Blue MSX or Open MSX. Pretty easy to set up. Open MSX is on a lot of your little devices that offer MSX, so you don't need to put the ROMs on there, and you can play them on there as well. So definitely some games worth having a look at. And if you own an MSX, support the authors and buy their physical copies when they come out. And I'm sure the art will have come with wonderful boxes and everything like that as well. At a later stage, as I get them, I'll let you know where they're available from. Alright, I hope everybody has enjoyed this video. I'm Electric Adventures. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.